Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Fit podcast on YouTube, where we break down the science behind what goes into making cricketers play better. Today I'm joined by Stuart Barnes, someone who you'll all know from social media, highly expert in fast bowling, lots of experience, and also what I think we're very aligned on is breaking down the art of fast bowling simply for people to understand on socials. So we're going to look through bowling technique today. I'm going to fire away 5 to 10 questions for Stuart. We're probably going to go off on tangents, knowing how we can communicate, and then we're also then going to head off to cricket nets after this as well, where we're going to look at more technical parts. So we're going to break this down into 2 different parts: sit down chat, and then more actionable practical part. Before I pass over to Barnesy, if you are new here to the channel, this is a little bit different to what we normally do, but if you're interested in cricket fitness and how fitness and S&C can help you to improve your game, hit subscribe and come along for the journey. So, Stuart, if anyone who doesn't know you, do you want to introduce yourself and let them know your background?
I am from the West Country, 55 years old. I was a professional cricketer for 2 years. The opportunity came too early for me because I wasn't ready, like maturity-wise, but I was highly talented. But professional for 2 years, that dream was taken away by me, not by other people. And then 3 years after that, I started becoming a qualified coach. I was really curious as to how to talk about the game instead of just doing the game. And I met Gordon Lord, who I believe you know as well, and he helped me through my kind of coaching journey. And my first coaching gig was a self-employed gig, which is what I'm doing now. It's gone round full circle. In primary schools, which I really enjoyed. That was a great introduction. And then over the last 25 years, I've gone from primary schools up to pro level and World Cup finals and things like that. So I've had a few experiences that have laid the foundations of who I am now currently.
Nice. Who did you play for as a pro?
I played at Gloucestershire. Yeah. I was born and bred in Somerset and supported Somerset through the 80s. Really wanted to play for Somerset, but they was very strong. But Gloucestershire came in and gave me some opportunities, which I took. And so two really good years at Gloucestershire. Met some amazing people. Played with some amazing cricketers as well. But Gloucestershire, I hold them very dear to my heart.
And obviously you mentioned it was kind of down to you that it stopped. What do you think, if you could turn back time now, what would you do differently to give you more chance, and why did it go that way?
I talk about this very openly with players that I coach, especially those that have ambitions to kind of progress. I consider myself, in a very positive way, to be a failed cricketer, in that highly talented, but relied on my talent alone without having the work ethic, without having the experiences of failing, getting up, doing things differently again. So I was 20 and 21 when I was a pro cricketer, but even leading into all of that age, didn't surround myself with people that stretched me, challenged me, didn't seek coaching, didn't seek questions to people that I perceived were better cricketers than me. Didn't look after my nutrition. To this day, I think back now, and I don't think I entered a gym when I was a pro cricketer. I mean, it's abysmal when I think back at it now. But all of those experiences really are at the core of my coaching philosophy. Like observing a lot and looking for opportunities to help people not make the same mistakes that I made. Because they're the same mistakes I see now, like 30 odd years later. But those are the main reasons why. It wasn't because of talent, it was laziness, poor decisions, and they are my decision, my choices more than anyone else.
And I know you're very big on habits with the guys that we kind of coach between us. Do you think your habits as, let's say, from 15 through till 20 before you were actually pro was the issue, or was it more when you were a pro? As in, do you think that actually the lead up to being the pro was the downfall, or was it how you were when you were a pro? Does that make sense?
In my mind, it was the foundations that were not in place.
Yeah.
The game was very different back then. We had a head coach. It was Eddie Barlow, who's no longer with us, bless him. Springbok, and played cricket for South Africa as well. Tough guy.
Yeah.
Used to turn up at training sessions in full whites. It was amazing. But the habits weren't there, and I honestly believe habits start when people, players, are younger.
Yeah.
And this is where parents can come in as well. So I enjoy conversations with parents just about, what habits do they, as your child, male or female, what are they doing? Are they playing winter sports and things?
Yeah.
But for me personally, I was a multi-sportsman. I played football, rugby. So movement and coordination and things weren't an issue. It was simply because I believed people when they said I was going to play for England and I was going to keep progressing, or you're guaranteed to do this. And I'm thinking, well, this is easy because all I'm doing is playing the game.
Yeah.
And steering clear of failing. So I didn't have that experience of. So I think that it was all about the foundation where they just were not in place. And if they were, those, when I was playing first class cricket, nervous as hell, and that's okay. But I didn't have the tools to get all those butterflies in my stomach flying the same direction. They were going all over the place because I simply didn't have the conversations and the skill to understand what was going on and then know what to do about it, sort of thing. Yeah. So my advice is habits form early, far longer before the experience you're in right now.
Yeah. And I think it's also important, like you mentioned, obviously the parents, and I think as coaches, if we are looking after a junior cricketer, then the parent is obviously part of that as well. And I think it can sometimes be misconceived that you have to be uber disciplined and almost like military with it. But I think actually those habits, like you say, playing multi-sport is a good thing. And those habits, trying to work out how you can have those habits in a way where you can stick to them consistently, which isn't going to be crazy disciplined, like you are in military, but it's also not going to be right at the bottom, and it's trying to find that kind of sweet spot for the individual as well. And I think it is something where it has got to be highly individual, but also if you're not having those conversations and you're not even considering what you could be doing better, you're struggling, aren't you?
Well, the game is there to be had fun with. Yeah,
exactly.
And I've worked with and alongside coaches that are hugely disciplined, and that's their style, and that's okay. But when you're dealing with people, finding ways that really connects with them and resonate with them. Yeah. So I think that what are we talking about? We're talking about the habit of having fun. We're talking about the habit of getting up first thing in the morning and drinking some water. Yeah. Getting up 5 minutes earlier and just doing some sit-ups or some just moving, sort of thing. Those are the creation of habits that you can expand. And once you learn a little bit more about are the really simple things that you can incorporate and tweak and change. Yeah. You've already got into that kind of system. Yeah. So we're not talking about massive things. We're talking about proper, really simple, old school kind of things. Basics. That's all we are. We talk about the basics a lot, don't we? Yeah. Really, but
it doesn't need to be uber complicated. Right, we haven't actually got into any of the questions we had planned, so let's have a look and go through one of them. So we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about amateur bowlers, who obviously we work with plenty of. Other than habits, what do you think, and potentially that could be the answer that you come back to, but what are the biggest things that you find amateur quick bowlers have holding them back from, one, bowling faster, two, bowling better, which I think we've also spoken about kind of gets pushed under the rug for just bowl quick, bowl quick, bowl quick. And then also obviously staying on the pitch consistently.
So I believe that there is a massive pool of high quality amateur bowlers out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it for myself. I've heard it. I used to keep receiving names and recommendations for people that these bowlers are out there.
Yeah.
And then the question that I always ask myself is, why aren't there more kind of coming through?
Yeah.
And kind of digging in a little bit deeper myself, I believe that the difference between a bowler that goes through that club amateur kind of system and out the other side and to become a pro, they don't necessarily have to be in a county pathway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
What I do believe is if they at some point realise, I really want to make a go of this,
mm-hmm.
and they go all in on it, then you win games for your team. As a bowler, you win games for your teams on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
You train on a Thursday, maybe on a Tuesday as well. But when you make the step up, I think it's always, okay, I'm good now at this level.
Mm.
What does good look like at the next level? Let's take second team cricket.
Yeah.
4-day matches. You could be in the field for 4 sessions. Okay, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's 8 hours on your feet.
Yeah.
Club cricket isn't going to give you that. It might give you 3 hours on your sleep on your feet in a 50-over game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that are holding people back, they think they're good, and they are good, but is what they're currently doing going to allow them to be good at the next level?
Yeah.
And they don't go into it. They don't dive into what that is. You know, the number of overs they'll have to bowl in a day, how they might have to recover, what they might need, how their diet might need to change, be tweaked a little bit. But out of everything, I know it's another question. I just don't think that amateur bowlers, in general, not all of them, but in general, they just think it's a really easy kind of step up.
Yeah.
And skill-wise, it may be, but physically, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing. And the bowlers that are clued up on that, they do their homework and they start training for that before they get given that opportunity.
Yeah. And I think it's very easy in club cricket to become comfortable at that level and know you can turn up and you can do a job and you can get through it and get through the season just about. You'll have niggles here and there, but you're not going to get fully injured, so it's okay. You can go and do the same again next year. But I think for those cricketers who either want to be the best of the best in the league or they want to take that step to the next level, it's about taking themselves out of that comfort zone and like you say, figuring out what to go to the next level they need to do and start building that ideally now before they obviously go into winter nets again. Cool. Was there another point there?
Yeah, well, so we're working with some young cricketers.
Yeah.
Like Sam.
Yeah.
He's getting up early and running.
Yeah.
What was he, a 15-year-old?
Yeah.
14, 15-year-old. So he's working out his own way, and he's going to get it right all the time. He's working out how can he be different, and I think that's the thing. You need to be different than all the others, because as soon as you're seen out running on the pavements when everyone else is going out partying or whatever, a lot of your friends will pull you back. What the hell are you doing? Come on, come out with that sort of thing. They'll pull you back into their group. But if you really want it and you go all in on it, you have to find ways of being different, and that's something that Sam is at the moment anyway fully committed to doing, and it's lovely to see.
And I think on that point as well, like the big pushback I get from the fitness side is often people say they haven't got the time, and I understand people are busy, but I think realistically 2 to 3 hours a week is what you need to find. And can that be waking up half an hour earlier? Can that be half an hour less scrolling, which I think probably we're all guilty of. And if you really wanted to, you probably could find those extra few hours. We're not asking you to find a full 8 to 10 hours in a day. or per week, sorry. But probably if you need to find those little slots, you probably could.
If most people take an audit
Yeah,
of what they do in a day and look at it across a whole week,
yeah,
it's easy to find those little slots.
Yeah.
You know, stretch in front of the TV.
Yeah.
If that's what
Exactly,
if you're,
yeah.
stuff, you could do it easily if you really wanted to.
yeah. So one thing which you mentioned there about workload and overs, I think let's come on to a little part on that where we'll dive into stress fractures. I think it's a big topic which I think it's an interesting topic because I think everyone has heard of a stress fracture. Most people have a rough idea as to what it is, but I think actually the knowledge around it probably isn't what it should be. From my side, and I think what I always push people to is the research guys at Loughborough as part of the ECB have done loads and loads of work on this, and there is an awesome YouTube video that is on Stuart Naylor's YouTube channel, and it is Paul Felton.
Yeah.
Breaking it down. I don't actually think it is. It's Alway.
Pete Alway.
Yeah, Pete Alway breaks it down, and he talks through all the research behind it. It's about 45 minutes long, but it's brilliant. Essentially, as a quick rundown, if you don't want to watch that video now, stress fracture in a fast bowler will normally occur in the side opposite to the bowling arm, and it will be an L4 and L5, which is around here in the lower back. And essentially, it's a little minute crack in the bone, which happen also the tiny cracks happen all the time. The issue is when we're bowling, we don't allow that crack to repair and recover. And then over time, that crack gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it causes more of a problem. And that is the very simplistic explanation of what a stress fracture is and why it causes problems. What we can go into perhaps in the next video is the technical risk factors of of a stress fracture. One of which is collapsing at back foot contact. The other is a load of lateral flexion and lumbar extension. So we'll talk about that in the next video when we get into the nets. But the main risk factor of a stress fracture is a spike in your bowling workload. And I think it's always important with spikes in your bowling workload to understand, yes, that is if it goes massively up, but also when it goes massively down, you're then probably, unless you gradually build it up again, you're at risk of kind of causing that spike for yourself. And I think that's what a lot of club cricketers get wrong, is they'll stop bowling in September, they'll have 3-4 months off, and then they go straight back into winter nets, and they probably bowl 60 to 100 balls in week one, potentially at full gas as well, which is an issue. And I think the final point on that is the really dangerous thing about stress fractures is they're a bit of a silent threat in the fact of, from the point of where the spike in workload is, you won't actually get the symptoms until 3 to 6 weeks later, I believe it is. And in that time, you could carry on bowling pain-free, be absolutely fine. And then 1 week, your back's in an issue. And normally, if you then think about how seasons happen, is you have that spike in your workload at the beginning of pre-season in Jan or Feb. You then get to March and April, and then suddenly you've got a back issue, and then the only thing you can do is rest. And then you're missing the first few months or even the whole season. As a very whistle-stop tour of a stress fracture. And then to get on to my question for you is, I know from the players we work with that you obviously educate them about workload. How do you monitor workload? How do you suggest they monitor it? Workload as an overall topic, what are your opinions, and how do you go about it?
Well, my view is if a bowler's not bowling, they're not improving.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. So we need to keep them bowling within their sweet spot.
Yeah.
And you alluded to it there. There is a sweet spot. If you go above it, you they might not get injured.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to approach this with any bowler as though they are not going to get injured.
Yeah.
There's an awareness, obviously, from the coaching side of things. But I personally don't like talking about injuries and stress fractures and likelihood of being injured. And I've heard it before. No, why do you want to bowl fast? You're going to get injured. No, we cannot do that because it's one of the most exciting things that any one person can do.
Yeah.
And they win matches for their teams. But so how do I monitor it? So the players that I'm working with online, they have a spreadsheet and they basically fill it in, and I have a look at it on a weekly basis, and I see, are they consistently bowling on a weekly basis a similar amount that they were bowling like the previous week. I like to work back from the start of the season, and if they're playing one day matches, then a club cricketer, for instance, 10 overs on a Saturday.
Yeah.
They probably need to be bowling 20 to 24 overs in the week.
Yeah.
In order to be primed, hot, ready to fire on that Saturday. So what does that look like? Well, you're probably looking at 10 to 12 overs during the week as well. We're talking about high intensity. So that's training on a Thursday. You might bowl 6 overs, and then you need to bowl 4 to 6 overs somewhere like during the week as well. That's not including low intensity drills. Yeah. So I do monitor it. It's more about me monitoring than me educating them at this point. Yeah. But if there does become a bit of an issue, then there's a conversation with the player and their parents, really, if it's a young player. Yeah. So there is a sweet spot, and it does take time. So at the moment, I'm going through a stage where I'm piecing together session plans where it's a great time of year here in the UK to groove and change technique. So there's some drills. I do lower the intensity. I know it's not for every coach out there, but I do lower the intensity because I think it's important that players need to feel slightly different positions and movement patterns. Yeah. And the way to do that, I believe, is lower the intensity and then you ramp it up and see little micro changes over time. But I always ask them, even in this time of year, to bowl 12 balls high intensity. Yeah. Because we need bodies to become resilient and solid to for bowling. Pete Orway would have said, look, bones actually like stress. Yeah. Because they adapt as long as you give them enough time to adapt and grow and become stronger over time. This is where your point about club cricketers not bowling from September through to March and then a massive spike. Yeah. Their bones are soft, their muscles are soft, their ligaments and tendons, they're all soft because they haven't made them resilient because they haven't bowled. Yeah. So that's kind of how I keep on top of things, and that's a real kind of high level insight as to you can bowl high intensity even this time of year as long as it's just 12 balls. Shock your body into it, you will get stiff, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's a few points there. I think first of all, it's understanding that actually you don't need to be scared of bowling. And yes, bowling is an unnatural thing for the human body to do. But within as long as you're not bowling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of overs, as some commentators and coaches will say, you need to bowl you into the ground like we did back in our day kind of thing. And I think that is bad advice of just bowl loads and loads of loads to get bowling fit. But also we don't want to be at the other end of the spectrum where you're not bowling at all because you're scared of bowling, which I think there's so many guidelines out there which are all there for the right reasons. But I think actually if you read them, they all make perfect sense. But I think as soon as especially parents hear the word guidelines, to them that is something's dangerous, we shouldn't do it. Those guidelines are in there for a reason, because that's what the research shows is safe to do, and we're happy for that to happen. I think just coming back to your point on bones like stress. So the really cool thing in that video I mentioned and the research is there is a site-specific adaptation on the side opposite to the bowling arm in the lumbar spine. So if you imagine if I'm a right arm bowler, this is my right side and this is my left side. So actually L4 and L5, the bone mineral density, which is why we drink milk to make bones stronger and have calcium. So the bone mineral density on that side opposite to the bowling arm during the season is actually stronger, or it's higher bone mineral density. When someone gets injured and they stop bowling, that actually reduces the bone mineral density, which then, and that's the issue, is then you go back to bowling at the same speed and that bone is weaker, and then the chance of that injury happening again is higher. And I think that's why you also see a lot of reoccurring stress fractures when that return to bowling and then return to play is managed not properly. And I think it's also then just making sure that in that situation, if you have got coaches, if you have got S&C coaches, if you have got parents, if you have got captains, and then yourself as well, kind of included in that, the bowler has to be at the centre of that conversation. They have to take that responsibility and manage it themselves. Make sure their coaches are aware, make sure S&C coaches are aware, physios, whatever. And yeah, like I say, really take that responsibility for how you're going to manage that return.
There's a couple of things. One is I like looking at bowling days as opposed to number of overs.
Yeah.
The amount of pro cricketers that, how many am I bowling today? How many am I bowling today? I think, we're not where we need to be in terms of our skill and our consistency and your positions in over number 7 than you are in over number 2. So actually we're going to extend that. You're going to just keep bowling. Today's a bowling day.
Yeah.
So that I like bowling days, and obviously in the background I've got an eye on how many they are bowling. But it's almost like I want to shake up the perception of a bowler of that they are limited.
Yeah.
Because if they're not bowling, they're not improving. There obviously is a sweet spot. The other thing around training is spikes.
Yeah.
Is this conveyor belt of fast bowlers gets on my wick. I just think that for the majority, and there are challenges around it, of course there are, it can be too easy an option just to set up a net.
Yeah.
Where there's a bunch of batters and there's bowlers, you're just going to bowl tonight, and there's like 6 or 7 in a net, and they bowl and they wait their turn. I think we need to come away from that.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is, what happens in a game? Like you're going to bowl with a bowling partner. You bowl 6 each as a pair. Then you have 3 or 4 minutes off while somebody else is in there. So the batters still get their volume of.
Yeah.
But I just think that we need to be, what happens in a game? What could that look like at training? And I understand the challenges around it, size of groups, facilities, all this kind of stuff. I really do. But if we know that a massive spike is a cause, which we know that's true, how do we mitigate that? How do we keep them bowling, but still give them an opportunity to recover, like in between? And the only other point I want to make, Sam, is the 37 to 41 overs a week, which is what lots of S&Cs work on. I think it's outdated, because that was a piece of research put together years ago, before the landscape of cricket has changed.
Yeah.
The game hasn't changed. The skill, a few bits have, but there's more cricket being played now.
Yeah.
And so the 37 to 41, I constantly go back and say, well, I need them to bowl more. We're not bowling very well.
Yeah.
They have to bowl today. So I then go to S&C coaches and say, I need your help.
Yeah.
I need your help, because this guy needs to bowl 60 overs.
Yeah.
Hypothetical.
Yeah.
60 overs this week. Although, with youngsters, they go away on festivals, don't they?
Yeah.
And they might be bowling bloody 40, 50 overs in a week.
Yeah.
And then it's what they do the 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. But I do think the limitation of overs, I think, is hurting bowlers. And that's a conversation itself. And that's, I spoke with Pete Orway about that, and he agrees. So, it's different now.
And it's such a tough thing because it is trying to find that sweet spot. And I think that's also the thing. Like we can have all these the stats and how many overs, how many balls, and how many days in the week you should be bowling, how many days between bowling you should have, and whatever it is, and what all the research that there is. But it's going to be individual as well. And I think it's understanding those circumstances. Like you could have, let's say in a Prem side at a club, you could have a young quick who's on an academy somewhere, who's also playing at school, and he needs to play 4 or 5 times a week. Plus he's then got training, plus he's then maybe got one-to-ones, and it's like, whoa, how do you monitor that? You've then got the old school bowler who's rocking up and just playing Saturdays, who's probably then under bowling. And then you've got the science bro in the middle who's trying to work out how he can fit in. And it's tough. And I think it's working out what works for you, but understanding, and I think that's why the simplest way to answer that question I always come back to is, what is the big risk? Having a big spike. What can you do to monitor that yourself? Have that as your responsibility and make sure that whatever your sweet spot is, you're there and you're sticking within it.
Workload is an interesting one because workloads is an important aspect, but it's only it's one aspect. You have a look at what else could be a possible cause. We had one at Warwickshire last year. It wasn't workloads because we were keeping on top of it. Technique. Roles changing, all of a sudden bowling more death overs, release points can become lower or higher, and so positions can change. Recovery, nutrition, sleep, there are so many possible causes. But workloads is one of those kind of simple ones. We just write down a number and then leave it to kind of S&Cs or bowling coaches to kind of work it out, really.
And I think coming on to that, like, it's a nice transition to go into probably the technical factors. And I think, as we've kind of mentioned already, like fast bowling is a bit of an ugly thing for the body to have to do. Like we have to keep our arms straight, and therefore we have to get into this weird position for our back. And I think if like you can monitor your workload as well as anybody and do it perfectly, but if you've got a disgusting action where you're in a really horrible position, like you're gonna potentially get injured. And I think it's, but also then comes back to the other side. If you're building strength in those positions, then great. But I think physically, what do you see letting down the majority of bowlers that you work with? What are kind of the reoccurring things that you come back to from a physical point of view?
So my role has changed recently. So I'm doing more and more work with younger bowlers. But even then, whilst every bowler is different, there are some common themes, even with the group of cricketers I'm working with now, and also that is in line with the pro cricketers that I was coaching up until this past summer. I think that there's such a lot of time that's spent on actions in the crease, but that is influenced massively by how a bowler enters the crease. So to answer your question, alignment, running technique, and their posture at back foot contact, which is in line with the Pete Orway latest research. But it kind of, there are many cricketers that I'm working with now that don't play winter sports, and you can tell. You can tell. Like they're a bit shuffly in their run up, their movements, they're less coordinated than others who are playing multi-sports and things. But definitely alignment, what direction they're actually moving towards, And if any change of direction is a massive red flag, and I see it all the time. Their running technique, elbows going out here, which destabilizes hips and pelvis, which we then know through the research has a big influence. So I'm on a bit of a quest at the moment, really spending a lot of time. I don't even know what the parents think of me because they're paying me money, and I'm just working on running techniques. Getting the hurdles out, but I don't always have the hurdles up. I often lay them down. As a visual to get a knee lift, to get the foot striking underneath, as opposed to jumping up and down. I don't really want that. But it's definitely running technique, the run up alignment, and how they enter the crease as well. Undoubtedly, those are the common themes that I'm seeing.
And I think they're probably echoing that in terms of kind of running mechanics, we do a lot of it and it seems boring to start with, but I think it's a lot of isometric holds, a lot of just a drive positions. But once you're similar to kind of what you mentioned earlier about slowing down the bowling action, like if you slow down the running technique, and then when you then want to increase the intensity, your body knows the positions that it wants to get into. On alignment, this is a good question, which I'm mainly just asking for my own interest. Why does, and I'm assuming when you're talking about your alignment, kind of feet crossing over?
They can be, and also there was a bowler I was working with recently that literally running in towards second slip. And then you mentioned it just then, like the body and the mind is brilliant. It knows you want to hit the stumps.
Self-organised.
But if you're running in that direction, it will fall over there to get on the inside of the ball to get it back there, and it's a bit of a train crash of an action. So that's what I mean by alignment. Running technique, sweeping underneath you that way is also a bit of an issue, because actually you're changing direction every time your foot hits the floor, sort of thing. But so running, I've got a vision of future fast bowlers all having an element of running style checklist within the way that they prep. We're talking like simple stuff. 2 or 3 drills every time you train. And you would know. We'll have a look at some of them a bit later on, but definitely running style. I use string a lot. I use anything that's kind of visual. I do use poles as well. Sometimes all the toys are out. But one of the things, if I get the string out and I pull it back from right-handers off stump, I like pulling it back through a mid-crease position and then extend it out, because I just think mid-crease is a great starting point for a bowler, because then you can create an angle on the inside closer to the stumps, and then you can create a wider angle as well. The cue isn't to run on the string. It's not a tightrope. You run over the string, and a nice cue that I start with is get your belly button moving along the string, just towards the target, just straighten you up, sort of thing. But that's what I mean by alignment.
Got you. Back foot contact, landing positions. I've got my thoughts on this. Obviously, we've got square, kind of 45 degrees straight on. What are your opinions on it? What do you like to see? How have you coached people in the past with differing positions?
So I generally, if I'm working with somebody for the first time, but it's going to be on an ongoing basis, I generally like to leave the feet alone, because I honestly think that the way that we are built, feet land where they want to land. We decide what direction we're going to run in as a bowler. But, if somebody walks and I have a look at them walking, and if they're 10 to 2, generally that could mean that they're going to be opening up maybe to a side-on back foot contact position. But if they've got pigeon toes on the inside, actually that could also mean that they're not going to be opening up into side-on, but they could be midway or front-on. But it's a bit of a process. I definitely start by looking at the feet, because I think bowling starts from the ground up. But I kind of think, okay, is that consistent? So if they're landing midway, for instance, is it consistent? And if it is, then I start working up, where's the hip at back foot contact? Is it over their foot, or is it behind, or sometimes in front with the energies going down.
Yeah.
But I tend to, rightly or wrongly, allow the feet to do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
With how the person is built.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I did there's a Substack call actually recently about back foot contact positions and the timing of load ups depending on side on, midway or front on.
Mm-hmm.
Side on bowlers generally need to load up slightly earlier because they need to create a little bit more time to rotate around. Midway bowlers slightly later start of their load up because they don't need to rotate quite so much, and front on bowlers can load up as late as possible because they generally just skip through the crease, don't they? But I generally, does it look natural? Is it consistent? And if it is, how can I ensure that the rest of their positions and their movements are working with where their feet want to land and in a safe way?
Yeah. Good answer. Yeah, I think my my opinion on it is similar in that it's once again individual, and I think for whatever reason in the fast bowling world, people, and I'm kind of coming back to more social media and then the questions I seem to get a lot of. I think people want one answer, and they want what is right and how do you do it. And I think it's understanding, and you only have to look at the best bowlers of all time and see there's many different ways to do it. And I think it's understanding what works for you, understanding why you're getting into those positions. And then, for example, let's say from an S&C point of view, it's then understanding, is there any physical limitations in your particular action that are letting you down? For example, if you are square at back foot contact, are you able to rotate through your hips? If you're not, that's probably an area we want to improve. And I think we've got quite a nice example from one of the players that we work with, where actually we've realised that there is a sticking block in somewhere in his kind of kinetic chain that is causing the action to look slightly different. And without understanding that physical limitation, or once you understand that physical limitation, the action makes a lot more sense. And it's just trying to emphasize the point that there is no one way to do fast bowling. there's many ways to do it and do it very, very well.
And this is why it's really important that coaches aren't stuck in their beliefs around future fast bowlers are all going to be side on, for an example. Yeah. Because some people just can't do it. Yeah. And so therefore you're trying to force bowlers into positions they physically can't get in. That's gonna do them more harm than good. Yeah. And so we only got to that point to understand that by profiling them. Yeah. And working out. And then I think it's really important. I'm no S&C coach, but I know enough about it. But I'm not an expert, which is why I lean on people like yourself to do your thing and then provide me with what they're good at, where the limitations. And then we discuss what that might look like in terms of what I'm seeing in their actions. Yeah. But I'm always looking for ways, what they're good at, what can they do, and let's work with that, and what they can be working on just in the background to keep kind of layering on top what they're good at already. Yeah.
Nice. Couple more questions, and I think we'll probably wrap it up. Similar theme, but I know it's one that probably behind the camera you're screaming for me to ask. Brace front leg. Is it good? Is it bad? What are the benefits of it? Why can't people do it? I'm asking you the questions, even though I have my opinions, but I want to hear your opinions on it as the coach, and then I'll chime in as the S&C coach, and we can form a bit of a mutual opinion.
Disagreeing is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, brace front leg is clearly desirable if you want to bowl quick. However, there's been some bloody quick bowlers that don't have a brace front leg. So whilst it's desirable...
And before we move on from that, why is it desirable?
Because then the energy and the forces you are creating fires straight back up through the the straight front leg through the joints and back up through the body, as long as their positions are able to use the forces they've generated. And actually, brace front leg is often associated with a longer delivery stride, which is actually safer because you flatten out the force. If you've got a short delivery stride and a brace front leg, but creating the same amount of force, you've got more vertical force, whereas a longer delivery stride, it's the same amount of force, flattens it out because it's a fraction more time. So brace front leg, we know it's one of the 4 or 5 attributes for fast bowlers. We know that. Rabada, Stark, they're pretty quick. They haven't got a brace front leg either. So I get all these messages through on social media. How do I get a brace front leg? How do I get a brace front leg? Well, you might not need one.
Yeah.
And by the way, how old are you?
Yeah.
Because if you're young, it's so much easier to kind of change a technique than it is when you get older. I've got 16 years of age in my mind. As to from 16 onwards, it's going to be more challenging for a complete revamp of technique. Not impossible, but it's just going to take more time. So therefore, what we do in below, you might want to show 8 to 10-year-olds a bunch of videos of a bowler with a braced front leg and say, right, just copy that. So we know it's one of the desirable attributes. What were the other questions? How do you get it? Okay. We also know that a longer delivery stride is helpful to get over a braced front leg. How do you get that? We run in a bit quicker. That would help. But then the other thing that goes with that is a back foot that for a fraction of a second when you land on it absorbs but doesn't sink. Absorbs but then is able to fire you into front foot contact to extend it out that way. Like I say, all of these things, I wouldn't talk to a player like this, but I would do drills to try and really extend them. Can you run in quicker? And you do that just by extending the distance between the hurdles or cones, whatever it is you're getting this to run over. That's the way you get them running quicker naturally without you even saying. But then can you stay upright and kick into front foot contact? So, brace front leg seems to be maybe it's not, but it seems to be a real thing at the moment. But it's not the only thing. If Rabada and Stark can still bowl 90 miles an hour because their bent knee angle doesn't change when they're pulling over their front leg. And so in my simple kind of world, a knee angle that doesn't change is the same as a braced front leg in my simple world. So there's ways of getting around it if you haven't got somebody that can do it. That's my kind of...
And I think it kind of comes back to the point we've probably made 3 times now, which is find out your way. And I think it's, like we say, there's bowlers who can bowl very quick without it. If we are probably teaching an optimal bowling action to a 10-year-old, then we're going to try and probably install it. If it's completely not working, then that's fine. And I think from a physical standpoint, it's like you have these miracle transformations of bowling actions which can happen this is more talking about adults who are, say, older than 16 and in that period where change is harder because you've got all that learning to almost undo of the bowling action. But changes will happen in a bowling action if you do S&C if one of the limiting factors in your bowling technique was strength, stability or mobility. If you've got really tight hammies, you can't straighten your leg when you're trying to just do it without any force. Why are you going to be able to straighten it when you're putting all that force through your front foot? Like, your body's not going to let you do it. If you can't balance on one leg and your knee's wobbling all over the place because it's not stable, your body's not going to let you lock it out. If you can improve that, you've got a better chance. if your quads and hammies and glutes are weak, your body once again isn't going to let you brace that front leg, and that's okay. But where you see those miracle transformations, which I think a lot of people want, is where you're perhaps not in the physical state that you could be. You then take yourself to be into that place, and then whilst working on the technical side as well, you will see change. But also, if you've been training well and you've already been working on it for years and years and years, and like ultimately that might just be your bowling action, and that might be okay. And there's going to be, rather than trying to make it completely different action, there's going to be 1% improvements across the board that you can make to improve yourself as a bowler. Nice.
It's an interesting one. It's interesting because it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
So, but it's not the only thing. There are other ways, and the braced front leg is associated with pace.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an optimum pace based on where they're currently at in terms of their physique, their flexibility, their strength, their power, whatever. But you can change an optimum pace by going to the gym, working to a program, doing your bowling drills. I think there's a pace range.
Yeah.
That and your optimum pace, you can tweak it and change it. Just go, habits.
Yeah.
Working hard, whatever. But it's not the only thing. Pace is not the only thing. It's bloody important. We saw what happened in the first innings. England.
Yeah.
Rattling the Aussies massively. We can see what pace does. They struggled a little bit because they didn't have enough time off their feet. But pace is only one of four: pace, accuracy, lateral movement, and bounce.
Yeah.
So if the slower you are, you need to work out how to improve the other kind of performance pillars, if you like.
Yeah.
Whilst you're still working on your pace attributes. But yeah, braced front leg keeps coming up.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Let's do. Basically done that. Running for fast bowlers. As in, do you like bowlers going out on a 5K, a 10K? Does it need to be longer? Sprinting, intervals? What do you like your bowlers to be doing running wise?
I think it depends on their age.
Yeah.
If they're playing multi-sports, they're probably running enough.
Yeah.
Hockey, rugby, football, basketball, whatever. They're probably getting enough running in there. But the game is running. The game of cricket is running and standing on your feet. The game of cricket is running at different speeds. Sometimes it's walking, sometimes it's sprinting after the ball to the boundary.
Yeah.
So anybody that is not playing winter sports, they absolutely have to run. It's a kind of, I see it as the foundation.
Yeah.
Really. If you play a 50 over game, you're on your feet 3.5 hours. Anywhere between 8 and 13, 14 kilometers in distance, you're going to be running at various speeds.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that on a Saturday, how do you condition yourself to still feel fairly fresh in your third spell when you've been on your feet for 2 3/4 hours?
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to help.
You get your running. So I think time of year, you would know better than me, but time of year, you're looking at the foundation, building the foundations by, zone 2, 10K runs, maybe even like just plod. And then the bowling is power.
Yeah.
And it's sprinting. And at some point, you kind of, I like the thought of all future fast bowlers training like a sprinter.
Yeah.
So it's a real mix in there, but the game is running. If you're not running, you're asking for trouble, really.
Agreed. And I think coming on to sprinting there, I think that's probably the most underused training technique period for cricketers and for fast bowlers especially, because like how often do people just go and sprint as fast as they can and then you're expecting your sprint speed and your bowling speed to increase, and it's take bowling out of it, it's one of the best explosive movements you can do because you're having maximal intent from your brain talking to your body saying, I need to move as quickly as I can, where you've got a high rate of force development. So I think just for that alone, sprinting should be done weekly. But then especially for bowlers, kind of improving their run-up speed. And I think probably I always explain running as we want to tick off 3 different areas. So you've got kind of your steady state, boring cardio, which everyone thinks it is, which is important, 100%. You've then got your sprinting, which is also very important. And then in the middle, you've got your kind of interval training, your stuff where you're going to be sweating, you're going to be breathing hard, you're going to be breathing heavy. And those sessions are the ones which, when you're doing them, you hate. And then after, you feel really good. But that is what's going to allow you to maintain your energy and speed through your spell, and then also come back for that second spell and still have something in the tank.
Yeah. So run-up speeds are, on average, anywhere between 20, 24, 25 kilometres an hour across a 20-metre, on average, 20-metre distance.
Yeah.
So if you know that, you can kind of train for that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a nice little treadmill session, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do that, you run back, you might walk back to your mark. What would that take? 15 seconds or something. You do it again. You just keep doing it for like 60 reps, 10 over spell. Yeah. And all how specific is that? Yeah. The sprinted thing, there is a lot of sprinting that takes place in first class cricket. It's mainly associated with hamstring health. Yeah. But I do honestly believe that training like sprinters in the gym, as well as just sprinting, is definitely the way forward. Yeah.
I think that's probably one of my questions which we skipped over, but what the big differences between pro cricket and amateur cricket is sprinting is probably one of those areas that gets missed. What about strength training? Yeah. In season, off season, what do you like to see from your bowlers?
I like to see them in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. So amateur bowlers, get in there at least once a week in season. I always think if you go to the gym and you get stiff, you're not in the gym as often as you need to be. And I'm not necessarily talking about big, heavy weights, but I'm talking about maintenance. And you would know more than me about how to maintain. In the winter, it's different. I would be in there every day doing something. Yeah. As an amateur, so I would say strength once a week during the season. As an amateur, find ways of going in there at least twice a week to increase and log it. Push, pull, lunge, squat, core flexibility. What are the exercises within that? You can help people with that if they get in contact with you for sure. You log your weights, you log your reps, keep a track of your techniques, and you see improvement. And then whatever you end up, like, you're trying to minimize the drop off during the season, which was a classic when I was playing. Yeah. Like you weigh someone at the start of the season, weigh somebody at the end of the season. Oh my God. Yeah. But again, holding consistent technical positions at the crease relies on a number of things. One of them is strength. Can you hold that position in August as well as you did in April and May? And you do that not just by bowling and doing nothing. That's not going to give you the best chance of doing that. You do it by maintaining strength. Your muscles will hold you up, and your action will thank you for it. Yeah,
I think that's maintenance is the word. And very simply, our goal over a 12-month period, S&C wise, is strength. Build your strength first from October through till December. If you're not starting until January, that's fine. We can do it a little quicker if needed. But strength, then you build your power in your pre-season from January through to March. And then the goal during the season is maintenance. That doesn't mean not doing anything. That means dropping the volume, maintaining the intensity. So actually, if you have been lifting heavy during the off season, you can carry on lifting heavy during the season, but it's just going to be lower volume and probably higher intensity. So focusing on, let's say it's a trap bar deadlift, for example, you can still load it up nice and heavy. 3 to 5 reps, but really rip it up. Focus on that speed. And those sessions, you walk out the gym during the season and you feel like you probably haven't done loads, but you turn up on a Saturday and you're fresh. And you're still fresh in August, September, whereas everyone else is flagging by June, July. And I think that is the big misconception and big problem, which I'm on a crusade to stop each season, is people not training through April to June and then coming to me and saying in July, "Hi Sam, I'm injured. What can we do now?" And it's, yes, we can start, but it would have been helpful if we didn't completely stop.
I mean, why would you put yourself at risk?
I know.
Everyone's got a point where their skills start breaking down, and what you're trying to do is extend that point, aren't you?
Yeah.
And fitness and strength and nutrition and everything else. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing something in the winter,
and it's working,
why would you bloody stop?
Yeah.
It might look different, but why would you stop? I don't get it.
No. Cool. I haven't got any other questions other than just letting you say, obviously, if people do want to find you online, what can you offer? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm sharing a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm working with cricketers from around the world on an online basis. They can find me, Stuart Barnes Cricket. I'm on Instagram. I can't even remember what my handle is.
I'll drop it in the description below.
I'm also doing a lot of weekly live calls on Substack, which is a bunch of people have been with us here this morning.
Yeah.
So one-to-ones, I'm on a bit of a mission to get some more patients out there in the world. So in order for somebody to become their best, it takes time. So I'm delivering at the moment a bunch of messages around taking the long-term approach from like literally 10 years old. What does fast bowling look like? 10 to 12, all the way through up to a kind of 18, which is like graduating through county academies and things. Yeah. But I'm on Instagram, Substack, YouTube, the usual kind of places really. People can find me, and then they can find out how I might be able to help them through my website.
Perfect. Cool. Just reading my notes. Lovely. Thank you very much for watching. I know I've kind of learned bits and pieces there, which is always really cool from these conversations, and I'm sure for any fast bowlers watching that will be very beneficial. We're now going to go off to the nets and film part 2 of this video.
Can't wait. Stiff.
Get moving, work through a bit of those things which we've obviously mentioned there: back foot contact, run up, bracing front leg, how we can go about those kind of things, and what we can work on. That'll probably come out next week or the week after. So make sure you subscribe. And look forward to helping you again soon. Thank you very much, Stuart.
That's been brilliant.
And we'll wrap it up there.
Always enjoy it. Cheers.
Lovely. Cheers.